Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. I am Dave Valente, and tonight is a free for all. We don't have a specific topic, although there are many topics that have been going on in the news lately, including Trump indictments, Ron and Don measuring each other, and lots of festivals going on. So I will bring on my co-host, AJ. How you doing?
I am all right. I am all right. It
Good.
has been an interesting, eventful couple of weeks.
It has. It has. So, you went out, this week and had a, time of it at a, uh, uh, festival on Friday, I guess?
I did, and it's funny because you're going to say, "Oh, Tennessee, she went to Bonnaroo." No, she did not. She did not. That's about 70,000 people too many.
Yeah.
She did not go to Bonnaroo. She went to Main Street Live. It's our town's uh, Friday night free music festival,
Okay.
and they'll have like tribute bands and whatnot. So food trucks and all that stuff. So that's what I went to. It was Stairway to Zeppelin. It was the Led Zeppelin band, tribute band, which of
No.
course is the only way that I'm ever going to hear Led Zeppelin live. What's up, Craig?
What's up, Greg?
Um, so it was all right. I do live in small town Tennessee, so you set your camping chair down and you don't always get to pick your neighbors. And this man sat down next to me and he's like, is everyone sitting here? So in his defense, I did give him permission to sit there. That was my first bad choice of the night. So he sat down, we noticed we had the same chair and stuff, and that's funny. My friend and her daughter, they kept getting up and going and doing whatnot. And within the first 10 minutes of knowing this man, whose name I still do not know, I knew that he was retired and doing much better with his pension than he ever did as an hourly employee, which, yay, great. That's awesome.
Agreed.
And he has a 401k, hasn't touched it. He's going to leave it to his daughter as a surprise. Awesome. Again, this is wonderful news for you. I don't really understand why I know this news. Oh, wait, wait, wait. If you're meeting an older man, um, and he is going into his financials first thing, this probably means that his penis doesn't work,
Yeah.
and he's
Has
he's
a
going to impress you with other means,
he has a
and it's like a
huge bank account.
bank account. And it's like, see, now the problem, and I'll sidetrack just a second. The problem with this is older men seem to think that women. I mean, I'm younger than him, but I'm not necessarily a young woman anymore. But anyone younger than them wants that stability, wants that whatever. Uh, Dave, I'll be broke and I'll work my 40 before
Yeah.
I will compromise. Like I've been there, done that. I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather have my own paycheck.
Yeah.
So fast forward, we've walked through the first half of Stairway to Zeppelin, and we're doing it, and this is great. And the intermission comes, and my friend and her daughter get up, and he gets up, and he says, "I'm going to go burn one." And I really think that he meant tobacco because he just didn't strike me as someone that was cool enough to be
Yeah,
smoking a
you're not
left-handed
cool, man.
cigarette. So, but he has that bank account. Um, oh, so he gets back first, and he's like, I'm really surprised by all the people around here. Like everybody that knows. I'm kind of surprised by some of these older folks, and I'm like, yeah, me too. And no, I mean, it is nice, you go to a show like that, and I found this with the Beatles tribute band too, is there's every age possible singing the same thing. I really think that music is how we save everybody. We'll
Yeah.
come back to that. So then, um, downtown music is it's like the parking lot and the grassy area of a bank, right? And he's like, that bank over there, it's closed on Monday. Now, what is this? What is this Juneteenth? And I was like, okay. So I have a choice here, right? This is my second bad choice of the night. I decided to answer this man. And I said, "Well, it's the anniversary of the last of the slaves actually being set free. I think that's worth celebrating, you know." You know, well, I thought we were all the same now. Now?
Now?
Oh, no. Oh, dear. This has gone terribly wrong
Who's gonna tell him?
for her. Um, and I said, "Well, we do have our own holidays, we do have Columbus Day, President's Day, and oh, but wait, Obama was black, so I guess that's
Can't
really
count that.
too." Um, and I was just like, I just think that, the last of a population of people being set free from, slavery is not a terrible reason to have a day off, like, not a bad reason to celebrate. And
Exactly.
started to go at me, and I've never had a man actually do that to me, and I was a urology nurse, which means I took care of grumpy old men all the fucking time, and I've never had one at me, but about that time, my friend and her daughter came back and the music started again, Saved by Zeppelin, you know? Oh my gosh, that was a real life encounter that I did not initiate. He went from hitting on me to at one point, her daughter pointed and said, "Look," and I looked over and he had scooted like 2 solid feet away when he had been right up on me because I pick good seats when I go to music venues, I'm just saying. So,
Yeah.
he had moved over that much because apparently, and I know this is going to shock you all, I
What's up, Odie?
hi, Odie. I have been infected by the woke virus, um, and, it sounds pretty
That
scary.
woke catching.
It seems to be. It seems to
Nice.
be. Not this man, though. He was safely 2 feet away. That's the recommendation, not 6 feet. No,
That's 6
no,
feet. Nice.
I'm sorry. It's been a hell of a couple of weeks, y'all. I'm just about wild. Love
You know, we all deserve I think you handled it well. I think he deserved what he got, and you expanded his mind a little bit, whether he accepts the expansion of his mind or not, whether he accepts the woke virus into his body and wakes himself up, well, remains to be seen, but you did your part.
I I feel like, I've spent about 40 years now pissing off older men, so I'm definitely doing my part for humanity.
That is yeah, I mean, it's worth it.
Oh
It
gosh.
may we all be known by our enemies, and,
Oh,
you know, that's not a bad enemy to have.
everybody I've told this story to is like, "What did you do?" I was like, "I did not ask this upon myself. It came to me."
Yeah, he's the one who fucked around
Um,
and found out.
well, also, my friend and her daughter now know that they can't leave me alone. They come back, I may have started something, like, we can't.
Brawl.
Well, okay, this is the same man that I don't know. Once you open the door for financials, I'm already like, "I don't like you." 'Cause you see, here's the difference between me and this man. I am what's called a poor, and we don't like to talk about money because we don't have any. We have none, and, it's not something that we can really do a whole lot about other than work more. And I'm not willing to accept shitty behavior just because somebody has money,
No, and
and that's probably going to be my downfall. This is why I'm gonna starve in the apocalypse, is I won't suck up to the one dude that has, like, the stockpile of fucking weed or whatever. Um,
but, I don't know. I think that, if that's your lead as a guy, if that is what you're leading with, it's either that or sending an unsolicited dick pic. Those are, like, the 2 worst things you could lead with. Like, just show your personality, and I guess if you don't have enough confidence in your personality, you gotta fall back on one of those 2 things, you need to reexamine yourself.
oh, but that one's not safe either. I was a urology nurse. I will straight up, like,
Well, I
make you
know.
feel like something
Neither
is
one of them.
bad wrong.
Yeah, neither one of them are good leads. Like, that those are your 2 if you're those are your 2 go-tos, and if you have to fall back to the money because you're not working with a whole lot or it's not working itself, then, neither one of them is good. Reexamine yourself, come up with a better open, develop your personality a little bit better. It's like when I talk about, when people say, "Oh, well, these guys are incels." There's nothing involuntary about celibacy.
Mhm.
The You are displaying characteristics that make you unfuckable, and you need to work on yourself. That's exactly what needs to happen. Don't blame "Oh, well, she put me in the friend zone." Yeah, I get there's some women who take advantage of a relationship where a guy is giving her things and she wants that to keep going. I don't You're still at fault for allowing that to happen to yourself. Work on
I
your
don't
personality,
disagree.
work on the things that make you an eligible mate. Just, thinking that you're a good guy or saying you're a good guy is probably the best indication that you're probably not a good guy. So, develop your personality, develop reasons why somebody would like to be around you and hang out with you rather than, blaming others for your shortcomings. So, that's my PSA for the week. Good night, everybody. No, I'm
Quit
just
being
kidding.
a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be
That's
a
my
dick.
entire
It's
life
not that
philosophy.
difficult. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, I mean, that's my
Um,
entire life philosophy is don't be a dick. Just, just don't be a dick, please.
well, there is like a happy medium between like a smart ass and like an actual asshole. A smart ass is funny and no one's feelings actually get hurt. An asshole is just being a dick. Um, being, I don't know, being like, here's my financial statement with a splash of racism is not going to get up my dress. Oddly enough, that is not the recipe. And I don't know whose it would be. Like, that's what I'm getting is like, I don't know who he could have sat next to and spouted that off to, and it worked. I mean, he has a daughter. He said so. So obviously he's had sex at least the once.
He may
But
have paid for it, but I well, I mean, like, if anything, like, if you're approaching a woman in the wild, or if you're a woman approaching a guy in the wild, and if it sounds like, "Let me whip this out," that's probably a bad lead. Just the thing that's always worked for me is listening. Let the other person talk, listen, provide feedback. It's actually a really good way to get to know somebody.
I think so. I mean, that seems to be the best way that I have gotten to know people. Um, a little back and forth, whatnot. I, I just can't for the life. I think part of the problem, and and I'm having to remember this because my town does this every Friday, and my friends and we're planning on going to as many of them as we can. Um, is I wasn't dressed in the magic beanie
Mhm.
with the colors that attract the right vibe and seem to like smush away the bad vibe. So I'll have to remember to dress appropriately, wear the magic beanie.
Well,
Um,
I mean, that it still sucks. I mean, it still smacks of, you were wearing what you were wearing, you
mhm.
got what you got. Like, no, that sucks. Sup, Billy?
Uh, but anyways, that's just another wonderful reason to leave Tennessee
Yeah,
because I'm gonna piss everybody off over this next year because I'm just gonna be truthful. They're gonna be like, "What do you think of this display?" And be like, "I think it's cheap. I think it's stupid." Be like, "Well, what do you think of this?" And be like, "I don't know why we're celebrating this. This is dumb.
yeah.
This is some weird Christian crap." Or whatever it is. Like, I could just be honest. Oh, I could be unfiltered.
There
Do
you
you feel
go.
like a Jim Carrey movie's coming on? Because I feel like
So, and feel free to use that advice if you're a guy out there who's single and are not celebrating, celebrating well, there's actually lots of things to celebrate this week. So today or this week in Martinsburg, where I'm at, close to Martinsburg, West Virginia, we had Pride Festival. Went to that. It was a blast. A great time.
Hey.
Over 1,000 people down there in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It was great to see. No, there's always that one dude, who has the cross with the repent sinners thing. They didn't allow him on his bullhorn or anything, but, he was passing out his little tracts about how homosexuality is a sin and all that fun stuff. There's always one jerk, but all other 1,000 people there perfectly had just a great time, no hate, no anger, no nothing like that. Had a fantastic, um, uh, drag review, 4 drag queens and 1 drag king. Um,
Yay.
very good show. Fun time was had by all. It was nice, pleasant weather, like 80 degrees. Couldn't complain about anything. And then today is Juneteenth, celebration of the date. The Traditionally, it's the date that the people in Beaumont, Texas, were informed that that slavery had ended, and that they were freed. And then, and we'll do a little bit about that. We've got our quiz coming up here in a minute about Juneteenth. And there's a bug on your bed. Flew over the door. Thanks. I do appreciate that warning. Um, that's probably my cat, actually. But yeah. So Juneteenth today, and then well, actually, the federal celebration of Juneteenth is tomorrow, and then today is Father's Day. So lots to celebrate. Um, Take my advice on listening to people when you're in the realm of dating, so that you can actually eventually become a father and have a good time. Drag shows are so dumb. Oh God, what's the need for that dumb shit? Why, dude? I mean, here's the thing, man. How does it affect you?
Mhm.
Drag shows are, I mean, all drag shows are really acting. You go to the theater, you see people acting. They're wearing costumes that aren't their normal everyday wear. What's the point of them? They're acting. They're singing. They're having a good
Their
time.
entertainment.
That's entertainment.
And if it's not your thing, don't go.
Yeah,
It's really that easy.
yeah. There is nothing that you know. People who hate drag shows. There are billions of things going on every day to put your mind on and enjoy them. Drag shows are worthless.
Oh,
I don't know
y'all
about
are so
that. I mean,
cute.
there's some money to be made there.
There's a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah.
But alright.
Um, yep. Okay. Cool. Having the fun folks here tonight. Well, I mean, if you don't like drag shows, don't go to them. Um, there are probably people in your life that do like them. Maybe a couple people in your life that actually enjoy doing them. Might want to consider that. But yeah, we'll put the comments away for a little bit.
Y'all being so lovely.
Yeah. All right. So, um, let's. You ready for the quiz?
Yeah, let's rock out the
Let's
quiz.
do the quiz. Oh, this one I've got to address. Money to be made from second graders throwing bills when they should show up. Okay, so please tell me specifically when they're showing up at an elementary school. Um, I
They just show up. I didn't
yeah,
realize. I
yeah,
mean,
they just
so
camp
they're
out
just
at the
random
elementary school so
random
they can
rows of drag queens.
get money from second graders. Last I
The
checked,
2nd
we
graders are known for their financial.
oh, I know. Like, uh, last time I checked, the second graders didn't. I mean, they may have had lunch money, but the proponents of free lunches now, I mean, they don't tend to have that much money hanging out with them. I mean, if I was doing drag entertainment myself, liberal ass teacher let them come in. Wow. John Johnson Elementary. I don't know where the Johnson Elementary is. Um, for the most part, schools
Nobody's
are outlaw,
grooming
so
children, sweetheart.
yeah. Um, I don't know. If you guys are really interested in protecting the children, um, here's some places you should probably, keep the kids out of. Um, church, Boy Scouts, um, Little League, really any youth sports. Really,
Extracurricular,
actually
curricular
anything where
activities, anything.
yeah, really anytime when kids are gathered, with authority figures, they tend to, it tends to attract those types of folks. Where they don't get molested a lot of times is, like, drag story out at a library, or when, drag performers are at a, club where kids aren't allowed to come in.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
This is the most useless argument of if you've already fallen victim to all
Grooming
this
children.
bullshit, it's
I
ridiculous.
love this. These guys are oh my god. Yeah, I would just say
Oh,
suggest you probably wanna find a different show because 'cause you're not gonna find any folks.
anything you like here.
Yeah, yeah, kids have nothing to do with any of this. Um, why are you bringing in kids? I don't know what you guys are talking about, so anyway, ready for the quiz? Let us do
Yes.
le quiz. Am I doing the right thing here? Share screen, that's what I wanted to do. Alright, sharing the quiz. CNN 5 Things News quiz this week is dedicated to Juneteenth and, context clues, some old-timey pictures. I've seen these pictures, though, before, so, but yeah, good stuff. We'll check it out. Alright, question number 1. Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, the day that Union Major General Gordon Granger, pictured here with a fantastic beard,
It
um
is fabulous.
informed slaves that of their emancipation from slavery. In which state did this event take place? Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, or Georgia?
Always Texas.
Yeah, it's Texas. Granger delivered the news, known as General Orders Number 3 in Galveston, Texas. I thought it was Beaumont, but it's Galveston. Okay. All right, question number 2. Granger's announcement came, almost 3 days after the emancipation 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, famous executive order abolishing slavery issued by good lord, by which US President Ulysses Grant, uh, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, or George Washington. If you get this one wrong, you're wrong.
Wrong. I was like,
You're just
am I
wrong.
that would be Lincoln, sir.
You are correct. Abraham Lincoln, also with a natty beard. Like
Also,
it. Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. As the nation approached its third year of bloody civil war, proclamation declared all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states. Now, remember, that's one thing that the Emancipation Proclamation was. It was only applied to the southern, the rebellious states. They are henceforth shall be free. So that's what the Emancipation Proclamation stated, and it only applied to the southern states. Question number 3. Which constitutional amendments officially abolished slavery across the United States? Fourth, Ninth, 13th, or 19th Amendment?
well, I knew. Well,
I know it's 13th.
is it the 13th?
It is the 13th. 19th
We
is the
looked at it,
women's
and I'm like,
19th is
that's
women's
what I was.
suffrage. Fourth is due process, I think. And now I'm going down my constitutional amendment history, and I can't remember what ninth is. Um, but yeah, 13th Amendment ratified on December 6th, 1865, officially abolished chattel slavery in the United States.
Gosh, that doesn't seem that long ago.
The funny thing is, it's not really funny when you think about it. So the Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, delivering the news of the Emancipation Proclamation to
Mhm.
everyone. It was after the death of of Abraham Lincoln, who died in I think April 1865. So, question number 4: What two Union border states continues to practice slavery up until the 13th Amendment was ratified? Kentucky and Missouri, Maryland and Missouri, Delaware and Maryland, or Delaware and Kentucky? This one's gonna be hard. I think Delaware is one of them. Anyone has any idea in the audience, please feel free to, shout out the
Union
answer, but I'm thinking it was I know Maryland had to be kind of forced into the Union after the, Civil War started, to remain in the Union, because, Washington, DC is mostly surrounded by Maryland. Um,
Mm,
so Billy says Delaware and Kentucky. Which did again, that one wouldn't surprise me either. But yeah, what do you think, AJ?
I was leaning Kentucky, but I don't know why. So,
Kentucky makes sense. Let's do that. Correct.
hey,
Right on. Slavery remained technically legal in Union states until 1865, December 6th, 1865, technically, and some areas of Delaware and Kentucky continue the practice until that time. Yeah. Question number 5: How many slaves were estimated to be in the United States in the early 1860s before slavery was outlawed? 240,000, 390,000, 2.4 million, or 3.9 million? I want to say 3.9 million. I thought it was around 4
I
million.
I feel like 3.9 because there were so many.
Yeah. Correct. I was afraid that we're going to be like 0 for 4 at this point, or over 1 for 4 at this point, but 5 for 5 so far, 3.9 million.
No pressure.
Estimated that there were more than 3.9 million slaves in the United States as of 1860, while only 500,000 black individuals lived as free persons during that time. Question number 6: Which state was the first to recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday? Georgia, Texas, New York, or Virginia? You would think Texas. I mean, because that's where it happened.
I mean, one would think, but it's Texas,
But
so
it's Texas.
I don't know. Where does that look like? Who's in the statue?
I can't see the statue.
Oh no.
I mean, I can see it, but I can't see who's in the statue.
I can see the statue as well. It's not Michelangelo's David. That's what I
No,
can tell about
it
that
is
statue.
not, but it's a nice statue. I mean, he's wearing, looks like a nice, uh, suit thing under the
Overcoat and whatnot.
but yeah, very Natalie dressed. I'm gonna go let's go Texas. You think
It's
I yeah,
I have
it would
no
make
idea.
sense. Correct. Texas
Hey,
was the first state to recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday, January 1st, 1980, back when the, current crop of,
wow.
state legislators were not involved at that point, so, question number 7: Which US president signed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday? Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, or Joe Biden?
That would be Joe Biden.
Yeah, gotta be Joe. Yep. June 17th, 2021, President Joe Biden signed a bill into law recognizing Juneteenth National Independence Day. Biden said the moment will go down as one of his greatest honors of his presidency. Question number 8: A revised red, white, and blue flag honoring Juneteenth was introduced in 2000. What symbol is at the center of the flag? I actually saw one this weekend, and it's a star. Or no. Is not Octagon. No. Maybe it is.
Did you say one this weekend?
I did see one this weekend, and I'm trying now. My brain is fogging
Oh,
up. It's either
no.
Star or an Octagon. Um,
I mean, Texas is a
it's
Lone
a
Star
star
State.
shaped, but I think it's got more than the five-sided star. So I'm gonna go with Octagon.
Okay.
Octagon. I am correct. It's a star. Damn it.
Star.
Oh, see, it's got that multi-sided thing. That's what I
Thing
was
around,
yeah,
that's what you were thinking of.
yeah. It got me all confused.
Oh,
Alright, I'll
well.
take the
Lone Star State
responsibility
of Texas. Yeah, I was thinking
Excuse
that.
me just a second. I've got to go pee and then throw up. And
for
because the information is not pleasing.
It sure is, Jim. Alright, question number 9. What is another name often used to refer to Juneteenth? Peace Day, Equality Day, Freedom Day, or Power Day?
Freedom Day.
I think Freedom Day. Correct. Juneteenth is also referred to as Freedom Day, along with Emancipation Day and Jubilee Day. I've heard both Jubilee and Emancipation Day. All right, question number 10 for 9 out of 10. What beverage was once popular and synonymous with Juneteenth celebrations? Mint julep, Brady milk punch, strawberry soda, or chicory coffee? That one it kinda looks like a tea of some sort in the background. Maybe the strawberry soda is a little orange for the strawberry soda, though.
Hmm. For some reason, I feel like punch.
Anybody else? Wanna do punch?
Maybe.
Brandy milk punch.
I don't know, but maybe.
No.
What is
Strawberry
it?
soda.
Oh.
Riding on the heels of springs, Juneteenth festivities typically involve picnics with red foods and drinks like strawberry soda dominating the spreads. Color red is believed to represent the blood shed by enslaved African ancestors. All
Well,
right,
I
so we
didn't
got 8
know
out of 10.
strawberry soda.
What's that?
I didn't know about the strawberry soda.
I
That's
did
pretty
not know
cool.
that either. That's cool. I like it.
I like that
Um,
too.
we got I mean, that's cool. It's a holiday celebration where you don't have to get messed up drinking brandy, milk punch, or mint juleps or anything like that. So mint juleps more of a Kentucky uh, um, horse racing thing. So
Also something I would know nothing about.
yeah, we got 8 out of 10. We didn't embarrass ourselves too much on that.
No,
Those were,
no, not
I mean,
terrible.
the ones I got wrong. The one I got wrong, I kind of feel bad
The
because
drink and the
I love
flag. We knew what the importance of the holiday.
yeah
We missed the accessories.
the
I'm
accessory.
okay with that.
Although I've got this big spread of flags behind me, and
You do have a big spread of flags.
I do. Every I've got every, world flag and, the UN flag, the EU flag, and um, it's more of the BIPOC pride flag, the pride flag, and the, um, bisexual pride flag, trans pride flag. I think
Yay.
so.
All
Anyway,
the love.
I got all the love in here. So,
Yay.
alright. I guess Dan's not gonna join us tonight. Dan. But we will
Shall we
soldier on.
talk smack about him?
Yeah, we'll talk bad about
I don't have anything bad to say about Dan.
Dan.
He doesn't come to Tennessee often enough. That that's that's my gripe with Dan.
Yeah, we miss Dan. Alright, so, in the news this week, we had Donald Trump pleading not guilty to 37 indictments, related to the documents, handling case at Mar-a-Lago where, multiple boxes were seen all over the residence, including the bathroom.
Which
Uh,
had a chandelier.
yeah, I mean, there are some,
Questionable things.
okay, so I will never look at Donald Trump as a paragon of how I should decorate my house. I mean, if I wanted that kind of cheesy Miami Vice gold 1980s thing going on with probably with mirrors on top of above the bed or something like that. That kind of
Oh,
creepy shit. And maybe I take Donald Trump's advice when it comes to designing, but just a little light reading in the bathroom. I like that. And then the chandelier, I guess, properly illuminates the reading. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that he's come out with after this, of course, he's not shutting up. Which,
no.
my God, if I was his lawyer, I mean, he's having problems finding lawyers to
I
represent
was
him.
about to say you couldn't be his lawyer. They have all run away because 'cause they're like,
Yeah.
"This is a loser. This is not gonna work. I do
Well,
not wanna be the person that has to defend this train wreck."
it's a lot of different things with Trump in that, you know, I know there are lawyers out there who would love to have a client as high profile as Donald Trump because that raises your profile. That you could hang your hat on a case like that. I mean, think of all the people who were involved in the O.J. Simpson trial who were foisted upon us for decades. Andrew Napolitano, Marsha Clark, Judge Ito stayed a judge, but but all these people that were in that universe that ended up just being on our TVs long after the trial happened.
Well, OJ, like, that's the reason for the Kardashians.
Yeah,
That's the reason that we are cursed with that family is the fucking OJ Simpson trial.
but
So,
in this case, you can't because he's got such a demonstrated past of I'm going to um, uh, hire these lawyers. I'm going to trash them at every chance I get, and then I'm not going to pay them. And in some cases, the lawyers are going to go to jail for stuff that I do.
mhm.
And so not only are you not getting paid, but there's a chance that you may go to jail for this jerk.
Well, there's a really good chance. What is it on his it put out a truth? There's a good chance that you're
Pravda.
gonna be the next negative truth
Yeah.
that he puts out. And I'm sorry, when people displease him, he's okay with calling for violence against them. I'm not sure that anyone is going to be able to get paid enough to make it worth it for their own safety, for their family's safety, because he has shown time and again that he has no constraint and no filter. He
And
is perfectly capable of it. He's
I've
done it
offered
before.
this. Yeah. I've offered this advice to anybody who wants to to represent Donald Trump. First off, figure out how much time you're going to be dedicating to this case, and it's probably going to be pretty much all of your time for the next 2 years. Take your billable hours, double the rate you charge for it, and charge 50% up front. You want to get paid half up front, which is going to be roughly what you would make in 2 years. And that way, when he stiffs you in the end, because you know he's going to stiff you in the end, you've got your money. You've done what you need to do. Don't fall for it. Don't get strung along and say, well, I'll pay you, I'll cut you a check and all that stuff. Because once that check doesn't get cut, he's gonna ghost you
I,
and then
I'm just
trash you and then put
very. I- It's going to be impossible for this to not be such a huge trial. Like Depp and her just prepared us for the celebrity buffet that is about to happen.
oh my god.
There's this clip of Kid Rock of all jackapples on Tucker Carlson, and he is talking
All
about how
Jack
Trump
apples.
has shown him,
Yeah,
yeah, shown him these documents. This is what Donald Trump did to make himself cool to
yeah.
Kid Rock, is he
It's a
showed
party favor.
classified documents. So he did this to how many people? That's what I'm curious to see. And the celebrities are like, "Yeah, he showed me the nuclear codes," or whatever the crap. What
Yeah.
how can you possibly defend showing Kid Rock classified documents? What purpose could that possibly serve other than to make you feel a little bit better about yourself, Donny boy? Really? Like, it's
Well,
just gonna be the most ridiculous case. I just oh, it's so
well,
embarrassing.
here's the question I have, and I think this is gonna be a shoe to drop eventually, is coming right out of the White House, and this is something. So Chris Christie announced that he's running for president, um,
Uh-huh.
which uh, if you're looking at all these people running for the Republican nomination, in fact, the mayor of Miami also announced that he's running for president.
The
Um,
mayor of Miami.
yeah, Republican
Does
guy.
Rhonda know?
So here's the thing: all these people getting this is I am betting these are people who are angling for jobs in the Trump White House. Their job is to do exactly what they did in 2015, which is clog up the field and keep as many candidates in there so that Donald Trump can get his weird loyal 30% of the people in the Republican primaries to vote for him, and he wins all the primaries and wins the nomination. It worked for him in 2016. He's just going to run that playbook back. Um, but Chris Christie came out swinging. I will give him that credit, even though he was kind of his, one of his early sycophants after getting knocked out of the presidential primaries in 2016. Chris Christie said that the grift that goes on with his family it knows no bounds, and that right after they got out of the White House, both Ivanka and Jared got $1 billion deals with the Saudis. Uh, the documents that Trump have are damning in and of themselves, but what has fallen into the hands of the Saudis, bought and paid for through Ivanka and Jared Kushner. So, and watch the oh, there he is. Oh my goodness. Tardy, tardy, tardy.
Sorry, guys. What's up, AJ? Yeah, I'm
Gonna,
a little late. I
gonna have
can't
to get
help
the
it.
paddle. You've angered Dad.
I wish I could say that I have an excuse, but I have no excuse.
Oh, that's all right.
What's crazy about it, like, is I was just sitting down to gear up, start some serious gaming, and I'm like, man, I'm not normally
Day
free
is
on
it?
Sunday nights. What happened?
What's going on?
Oh, fuck.
Fuck. I've done that before. Like,
That's
damn it.
funny.
I've gotten to like 9:30.
What'd I miss?
All right, so
Everything.
we did the Juneteenth quiz. So the CNN News quiz this week was all on Juneteenth. We got 8 out of 10.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad. I'm okay with that. We had some interesting comments in the chat. So we displaying chat was displaying individual chats. But yeah, it's been an interesting night so far. We talked about AJ's interesting night out.
Interesting. We're using that word again.
Who'd you have a night
Interesting.
out with?
I had a night
Are
out
you
with my
seeing another
homies.
radio show besides us?
No. I went out with my friend to the local live music here in our hometown, and this old man was hitting on me, and then it took a turn when he asked what Juneteenth was, and I told him, and I and then he moved a couple of feet away because I have the woke virus. That's an abridged version just for you, darling.
Interesting. Now, first of all, let's clarify old. Does that mean older than me?
Old enough
I'm
that
leaving.
I've
I'm leaving.
Oh, that was delay right there.
The brutal answer.
Plunge
Well,
twist.
like I had to think about it because honestly, I think he said he'd been retired for well over a decade. And if he's retired at the regular age, that would be 60. I was doing math. That's why I hesitated. You should
That
know
would make him
better.
75. But if he retired at 30, he would be significantly
He,
younger than me.
he did not retire at 30. I can tell you that.
All right. How many teeth do you think he had?
How many what?
Teeth.
Teeth?
Was he missing some teeth?
I didn't get that close. It's Tennessee. Everybody's missing teeth.
Fair enough. All right.
Are you
Well,
missing them?
what was the show?
It was Stairway to Zeppelin or Stairway to Zeppelin.
So
It was
Zeppelin cover band?
yeah, they were pretty good.
That's yeah. You can't go wrong with that. I had the misfortune. We could probably talk about this more too if you want to. Of a personal information crisis starting in the middle of last week.
Oh yeah.
AJ missed it all. But to make a long story short, I got social engineered, and one of my bank accounts got hacked, and I lost $10,000.
Are you
Are we able
serious?
to get it back?
I'm happy to announce that as of today, I got it all back.
Nice.
Very exciting. So I
Yay!
have complained about Bank of America in the past, but I don't know if it's because they have to deal with so much fraud or whatever, but they were real good at this part.
Well, there you go.
So very happy about that. But part of the process involved at one point in time, like, this is like denial, right? I'm like, I couldn't be socially engineered, right? There must have been some sort of super sophisticated technical hack, and that's what happened. And so I went in and got a new SIM card on my phone, and then did a hard reset on it. Which it was okay. I mean, I back everything up except for ringtones. So I had to pick new ringtones for my phone, which was very exciting. And I spent a lot of time thinking about Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin's got some great epic guitar introductions. I don't want to do Stairway, right? Ever since Austin Powers, right? No Stairway, denied. But other songs along the way. But in the end, I went with Rush, Limelight for the and then but I thought, wouldn't it be nice if like the phone companies had a service where you could pick what your ringtone was when you called somebody else? Like I would
That would
pay,
be cool.
right? I would pay like $20 a month for that, so that people would
That
know.
has the most offensive.
Well, I mean, people could choose to block it if you did something, but otherwise, I think it'd be pretty sweet. Like preferred ringtone,
Yeah.
something like that, some sort of suggestion. But
I like that.
see if they do it anyway. So I did that, and then I picked a.
Mine would be like a 2 Live Crew song or something like that. Just like watch the person scramble for their phone. Like I'd call them while they're in meetings and stuff.
Well, so it's interesting because for me, for a ringtone, I don't like a ringtone that has lyrics in it.
Yeah.
But I like music. So, like, if it's something that like, I mean, I think of like some of the great dirty songs. They're only dirty because of the music, of the lyrics. You don't like hear them along the way or anything like that. Although there's that Jason Derulo song. Been around the world, don't speak the language.
Oh,
But your
that
booty
one.
don't need explaining. That's just such a great line. But your booty don't need explaining.
All right. So we were talking about the Donald Trump getting indicted, pleading not guilty, his choice of decor in the bathroom, lovely chandelier, light bathroom reading. But he was like whipping these out as party favors, like just to impress people at parties.
I mean, this guy, he's got such a basic problem with a need to really. He's got a self-confidence issue, so he overcompensates all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And so all these things to show how special he is and stuff like that. It's going to be the best thing ever, best election ever.
Got
Best
huge hands.
Exactly.
That in a minute.
Speaking of which, though, did you see that another person from Florida has entered the Republican race?
I was just
just
talking
said
about
something.
that. The mayor of Miami
The
has
mayor of Miami, which is crazy, which makes me think, Martha, I know you watch the show. Martha Bueno, you should run.
yes.
There's so many people running.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's so many people running from Florida. Let's have a good person from Florida.
I actually put out a post this week asking all my friends in Florida if they are actually running for the Republican nomination. Because pretty much everybody in Florida is running for the Republican nomination. And this is specifically, this is the tactic that he used in 2016, having a crowded field. I think a lot of these people that are in the race right now are just not auditioning, but they're there at the behest of Trump to keep the field as populated as ever in exchange for something like a cabinet position or, stacks of money. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I cannot imagine a scenario in which Donald Trump would win again. But
I don't know, man.
Right?
Well,
That's crazy. I mean,
you
DeSantis's numbers are going down to the toilet.
Yeah. But again, we are so far out right now.
Right.
A week is a lifetime in a presidential race. You can go from the dog at 1% to leading the race in such a short time.
What do you think are the best examples of that?
Let's see. Lamar Alexander had a moment in the sun right after the New Hampshire primary, where he was there, kind of in that conversation to take it away from Bob Dole in 1996, and then he flamed out.
John McCain famously was way behind in the polls, had to borrow money against his life
Oh, yeah.
insurance
Oh, yeah.
to
I
keep
remember
his campaign.
Joe Biden was on life support. I was comparing Joe Biden to Jeb Bush
Yep.
in 2020 because he lost the first two primaries. Well, the first primary, we don't know the caucuses. We have no idea who won that because they couldn't count them. But he
Right.
lost New Hampshire significantly. And then James Clyburn came to the rescue for him in South Carolina and really rescued his entire campaign.
What's interesting is that he's going to lose New Hampshire again because
To Robert Kennedy?
To whoever else runs. Joe Biden is prohibited from running in the New Hampshire primary because New Hampshire is going to have their primary ahead of schedule out of the DNC order. And so all the DNC endorsed candidates have said that they will not run in New Hampshire.
Okay.
But so other candidates will. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effect that has.
Are you hearing that, Vermin Supreme? I mean, that's a good chance for you right there to
Vermin is a favorite son. I am
cool.
interested in this, favorite son thing that people are talking about, that Justin Amash will run as the Libertarian candidate in Michigan only for president.
Yeah, but which Michigan Libertarian Party?
Well, it's interesting because
Well, what the good one has the ballot access.
exactly, and that's who he should run as. And actually, it would be good for them too because nothing recruits members to your state party like a good campaign.
Yeah.
So if Justin Amash just ran there, and then it's an interesting idea in American politics in general. What if you had a party of favorite son candidates, and then they all get together? Let's just say that they win, 25 states, and say, okay, we're going to instruct our electors to vote this way, because the electors aren't bound to vote for any candidate.
Well, in some states they are now, I think.
They're bound to vote for the candidate unless the candidate releases them.
That's true.
So I'm saying we get together, 20 favorite son candidates, they win the favorite son party, and then they say, okay, now we'll figure out who it's going to be in the end.
What I put this as one of the topics this week is, why don't we just cancel the 2024 presidential election and just not have a president for 4 years?
I mean, that's kind of what we're doing now. But God save the Queen. Right? I mean, Biden has lost it. That was as embarrassing a thing as I've seen in quite a while.
What, the Pennsylvania infrastructure thing, or the
no, he was giving a speech in Connecticut, and at the end he said, "God save the Queen," and then he left. It was like, I mean, seriously crazy. Let me see if I can find a clip.
I'm not a fan of Biden, but I mean, when I look at Ron DeSantis and when I look at Donald Trump, I mean, I don't really have the stomach for another 4 years of Biden. I don't think Biden's going to live another 4 years, but I certainly don't want Ron DeSantis in the White House, and I certainly don't. And as much as we talk about third party candidates, I just don't know that any of the third party candidates are going to get that traction to. I mean, the libertarians are handcuffed right now. Let's talk about Colorado. So Colorado announced a deal with the Republican Party saying that they're going to, if the Republicans run liberty-based candidates, that they're not going to run candidates against them. I don't know how enforceable that is.
Well, so it's interesting. It is slightly enforceable in that to get the Libertarian Party line, you have to be nominated by the state committee.
Yeah.
So they can't. Nobody. I mean, somebody could run obviously as Liberty or Independent or whatever, and that would be fine. But it's such a sad thing because only 14 years ago, right, when Nick Sarwark was a chair of the Colorado Party, Colorado Libertarian Party ran a Libertarian candidate in every House district.
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. Like 84 candidates.
That is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a ton of candidates. But here's the thing I'm wondering is does that apply all the way up the ballot? Are they gonna forego the presidential candidate of the party if the Republicans say, "Well, we've got a liberty candidate, you're breaking your
Yeah.
promise."
I mean, technically speaking, it's not legally binding at all, right?
No, it's not.
So I the big thing about it is it's just so incredibly disappointing,
Yeah.
especially for people who, well, it's not, I mean, for how hard Colorado has fought in the past. And considering the fact that Colorado is a purple state,
And it's the birthplace of the party.
yeah, that they should be using their power as kingmaker rather than using their power as kingmaker to elect Republicans.
Yeah.
Um, it's just
Although I don't think that it's gonna make that much difference in Colorado.
no.
I think Colorado is still, I mean, it is a purple state, but it is trending hard blue.
I mean, it's like any other state where it's not really
It's the cities are very blue, the
exactly.
rural areas are red. Yeah.
That's exactly it, with the exception of Colorado Springs, which is a surprisingly and famously conservative city.
Yeah, but you got the USAFA there. It's like
You have the Air Force Academy, the Klan. If you haven't seen that movie, Black Klansman,
yeah.
it's based on something that happened in Colorado Springs. It's pretty astonishing. Yeah, I don't know. Colorado, I mean, didn't they just elect a Republican governor again?
No, Polis is
Polis, who claims he's a libertarian.
claims he's a libertarian. He's not, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, there are things that you can criticize Jared Polis about. I think that our current leadership within the Libertarian Party is hyper focused on the whole vaccine stuff, even though he was probably better on the lockdowns and everything than most of the Republican candidates that they've, including Ron DeSantis, which they keep pimping us over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
He's not perfect though by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. But I mean, especially where libertarians could make a difference is in the outlying districts for state house and state senate, where it might be contentious. There's obviously
Are libertarians going to fuck up Colorado for me? Because that's kind of sounding like libertarians are going to fuck up Colorado for me.
I mean, well, what they're saying is that they want to help the Republicans, but the fact of the matter is, really, it shows weakness in both parties. In my opinion, it shows weakness in the Republican Party that they would even acknowledge that they need the help from the Libertarians.
Yeah.
And then secondly, obviously Libertarians kissing Republican ass is just sad and pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, you're making
Also
the
not
case that
shocking.
Lauren Boebert is a great libertarian mind. I mean, I'd rather have Jared Polis than Lauren Boebert.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's pretty clear.
Trying to figure out how much Polis won the election last time by. I think it was a pretty good amount.
I have the God Save the Queen clip.
Oh, please. Yeah. Pop it in there.
Thank you.
Even if we get a DCMA on this one, I'm okay with that.
Thank you. I mean it. Thank you. Now, as some of you know, I'd usually come down and say hi to all of you. They tell me there's a storm coming in. Is that right? Is that still the deal?
I mean, he's crazy here.
That's the truth. Now, don't make a lie. As that scene in the John Wayne movie, don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier. All right, well, I tell you what, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the White House photographer to come up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand. I usually shake everybody's hand, but I'm going to stand in front of each section. No, I really mean it. And if you can see the camera, they can see you. And it's the least consequential part of this whole meeting for you. I promise. All right? God save the Queen, man.
God save the Queen, man.
Right, that's some crazy shit there.
Oh my God, why, Joe? Why?
I mean, I think what happened was he was so upset that he wasn't going to be able to smell all the kids' hair while taking the photos that he became nonsensical.
He lost it. Yeah. So Jared Polis won his. They would need like 30 libertarians to stand away from this election to get the Republicans back in parity, at least on the statewide ballot. Jared Polis won 1.468 million to 983,000. So 58.5 to 39.2. Libertarian in the race got 1.2%. So the Republican can make 40% next time just by getting the Libertarian out of the race.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm looking at the breakdown of the General Assembly, and it's 46 to 19 Democrats to Republicans. So this is not much threat there either.
Yeah.
Yay.
I wouldn't call that particularly purple at all anymore. I'd say that's a hard blue.
It's a hard blue now. I mean, again, there's always the talk of the western counties and the eastern counties seceding. They've been putting that out for a while.
Yeah.
Northwest or northeast, particularly, they're very rock red
Right.
Republicans. Northwest as well, either joining Kansas or Wyoming or Utah or whatever. So,
yeah, that's so stupid. You're not going to do that. All right, so Colorado's gone to blue.
yeah. In fact, presidential election, Biden won 55 to 41. So there really was this deal that they're talking about may flip a House seat or a Senate seat, but nothing significant, and probably more local offices than anything. And from what I've heard is that this is all over one woman who's running for a local office in that the Republicans have promised not to run somebody in this race, so she in Arvada, so that she has a head-to-head with a Democrat, which, I haven't even looked at the demographics of that race, whether it's, like the Democrat in that race won the last time by like 70% or something like that. So it doesn't really matter for the Republicans. They're getting a free pass in a bunch of races versus this one where they were never going to win anyway.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, it's just such a betrayal of
all that hard work.
Basic idea.
Yeah.
Right. That we're going to suck ass with some other party just because it's more important to be not the other party.
And I'd be as upset as if they had pulled this deal with Jared Polis and the Democrats. Like there's nothing to be gained here.
Well, especially you think how crazy it is that Colorado is one of the states that legalized cannabis really early on.
Yeah.
Right? Are they unhappy about that?
Yeah.
It's stupid. But you know what? It is the nature of things. The party politics is always about betrayal because the party is only loyal to one thing, which is winning elections. They're not loyal to the principles of a party. They're not loyal to the people. The only thing they're loyal to is the paychecks of the people who are in the party. And the people who are in the party only get paid if they win elections. So they could give two shits about what they're running on. They just want to win. And that's why everything is so broken right now. I mean, unfortunately, it is cronyism. We talk about the fact, we've talked about this a lot of times. Free market, in theory, would solve everything. But we don't have free market in business here, right? There's all these barriers to entry to prevent the big businesses use. Like, right, who's the biggest company that's supporting the $15 minimum wage? It's Walmart.
Yeah.
Because Walmart can absolutely afford to pay everybody $15 and they can do all that paperwork and all that shit. But they know that the local mom and pop can't afford to hire another person at $15. And so Walmart's like, yeah, absolutely. $15 minimum wage puts our competition, exactly, puts our smaller competition out of business. So that's why they're supporting that. So it's cronyism there. American politics has become the same way. It's cronyism where there's all these barriers to entry So there's no real free market anymore, right? The market is controlled by the big players, having to be the Republicans, the Democrats. They make all the rules, preventing everybody else from getting in.
Well, I mean, look at recent. We had the show a while back on AI, and you're seeing all of these doomsday predictions about AI coming out, and now the big AI players are talking about regulation.
Yeah,
We need to regulate AI because
right.
all these bad things can happen. But here's a bill that we've written here that if you all sign on to it, then and all the bill does is just the only people who can really get into the AI market now are the players that are already there, and eventually the consolidation of industry that always happens when you do stuff like this. You're going to end up with like one or two players that have just the guerrilla control of the AI marketplace.
Yeah, it's the AI thing is you're right. It is a great example of it. Now, I will say that I do think that I wish people would be a little careful with some of the stuff that they're doing with AI,
Sure.
but the answer is not government regulation. It is not government saying, okay, we're locking it down so only Microsoft and Google and Amazon can do AI. Because
there was one AI thing that I saw this week that it really disturbed me, and it was I guess somebody had decided to do a re-imaging of a old internet, a very dirty internet thing. It was two girls holding one
cup,
cup of a lot of it was chocolate soft serve ice cream.
yes,
Yeah, it was all that therapy gone. Just can't sleep now. Yeah, AI is dangerous.
yeah. I mean, what's interesting is actually like the AI artwork stuff. That is pretty impressive. Like that
Oh yeah,
explosion by the Pentagon, that was pretty good. But it makes it so that there is a need,
okay.
I think, for authentication. I don't know what the answer to that is going to be in the long run.
Yeah.
Anyway, did we talk Father's Day already?
We have not talked fathers. Well, I did say, because we were talking about dating advice because of uh, her
I have tons of
interaction.
dating advice.
So
I don't want to date.
well, my thing
That's
was,
good advice.
if you're leading off with your bank account or an unsolicited dick pic, you're just, I mean, that's not a good lead. Like the best lead is to actually just listen to the person talk about themselves and then give them feedback. That's the best way. And there's no such thing as an incel because you're celibate for a reason. Like you just have a bad personality. There's something within you that is leading you not to be fuckable.
I'll draw a line here as the oldest person in the room and saying that it's possible to have all sorts of great relationships and still be celibate. Okay.
Oh no,
Okay.
you're celibate I'm talking about incels, involuntary celibacy.
Right.
That's
Yeah. I firmly believe that you get to a point in time where you say, okay, and then I also went through a 2-year period where I'm like, I'm not going to date anybody. I'm not interested in being with anybody, any of that stuff. I'll tell the whole sordid story. Becky, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But I moved to Massachusetts with a woman that I had been living with for 2.5 years. And I mean, we were good. We were a good couple. But then, I was working as a teacher. She had graduated from the master's degree from the LBJ school in Austin. And so we said, you know what? Let's take the Foreign Service exam together and see if we can get posted together overseas. People who aren't familiar, Foreign Service is you work as a diplomat in the U.S. Embassy somewhere and you take a test. And if you pass the test, you get the job. And
no, there's a couple tests that you got to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And The foreign service test is pretty cool because it's essentially,
It's
are
thorough.
you cool?
Yeah.
Are you cool? Do you understand America? Now, what was bad for me and Kate was I passed the test and she did not. And at the time, it was well known that there was a very different standard too, because they were trying to increase women's participation in the foreign service. So then the next step, there's another test you go to, and it's an in person. And she's like, "Well, you're not going to go if I'm not going." I'm like, "Well, I thought I'd just go and see what happens." So we fell apart, and then there's no nice way to put this either. I immediately hopped into another relationship, just way too soon, and it was with a woman who was my boss at the time. And the very first day I met her, I said to myself, she and I should never be together. Make yourself a promise, Dan. She's like really pretty, but nothing should ever happen. Like 6 months later, I don't remember what it was that she'd said that made me say that, but we were in a relationship and we moved in together, and whatever it was right. We were not right for each other. I mean, specifically, I was not really right for her. She needed somebody cooler and other things about it, and I needed other things as well. But to make a long story short, I did everything I could to preserve that relationship, and it still fell apart. And so I'm like, you know what? Fuck love. Fuck all that shit. I'm just going to go off and do my own thing. And I went back to school, got my computer science degree, and then eventually met my wife while I was back in school. But I went through 2 years of not dating at all, and I was very happy with that. And when I came back to it, I had a very clear idea of what I wanted. And so, like, I had a written test, questions that I would sort of slip in on the side, like some calculus. Needed a person who could name football players other than Tom Brady.
Oh, I'm already failing this test.
Some
I'm not Dan's one true love.
I'm not.
Damn it to hell.
You got me on the calculus, man. We're not compatible.
some Star Wars trivia was on there,
Oh, yeah, right.
stuff like that. But it was a worthwhile endeavor to figure out the things that were really important to me that I wasn't going to compromise on. So I don't know why I'm telling the story.
Now your
Okay.
wife is Croatian, right?
She is.
So how
I mean,
she taking the
her father is Slovenian, her mother is Croatian. We did watch the game this afternoon.
Yeah, how's she taking the loss? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, so
It's a great accomplishment to get that far. I mean,
absolutely. Well, I mean, this is what they in soccer they call it a golden generation, and it
Yeah.
really is. This is Croatia's golden generation, in particular, Luka Modric, unbelievable player.
Yeah, he is.
Croatia is it's 4 million people, so it's an incredibly small country, and what they have accomplished in these last 12 to 16 years of playing international soccer is unbelievable. World Cup final, World Cup semifinal, UEFA Nations final, not that long ago either. But this felt like Modric's last chance to win something and not just be runners up. I mean, they should be proud. They're the small. I'm not counting Uruguay way back in the past, but besides when Uruguay won, no country anywhere near their size has even had a whiff of the championship.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable performance, but it still would have been nice. And especially like when it went to extra time, I'm like, oh, if they get to penalties, Croatia's so good at penalties, but they lost.
Yeah. Hard. Spain is a just a machine. So
Spain's good. I mean, they had a disappointing World Cup, but
yeah,
they rebounded, and they are, they're 5 great franchises in Europe. I think it's more than that. I mean, Europe's so good, but Spain is a big country.
Yeah,
And so when they're strong, they're pretty strong.
exactly. Let's see. Also in the news this week, we alluded to it earlier. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are in a dick measuring contest, quite literally.
And that's going to be inappropriate because, I mean, you know, if Rhonda,
Smallest contest ever.
if Rhonda wants to keep pretending, keep playing, her part as, I mean, she can present as whoever she wants to be,
Yeah.
but don't whip your dick out in public, right? Just don't do that. I don't care who you are,
Can we just say that this is grooming?
huh?
They're grooming. They're both grooming.
They're both grooming. I agree.
Yeah. They're sexualizing everything, and it's God. I don't even want to think about it. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's interesting to see DeSantis really sort of just fading on the main stage. It's just everybody wilts under the Trump pressure.
yeah. I mean, I don't think this is a situation where DeSantis will go away anytime before we start counting votes.
We had talked about this a little bit in the Johnson campaign. If Gary had made it into the first debate, and he had a pretty good shot at the first one. We kind of got screwed at the end, but we had said that if we had made it into the first debate, if they'd let him in for whatever reason, that he should just, during the debate when they get together to shake hands, just reach over and just muss up Trump's hair. Do something to break that image of whatever. Like, people go, oh, well, you didn't know. What's Trump going to do? Right? Trump's not going to punch Gary Johnson.
You never know.
Well, he might. He might. But Gary Johnson will kick Donald Trump's ass.
Oh, yeah.
With his tiny hands.
Gary is so in shape versus Trump. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that was the other thing that still pisses me off. Fucking Utah. Those guys.
Oh, Egg McMuffin.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, the people running the Johnson campaign, because we had this thing set up in Philadelphia where Gary Johnson would run up the steps of the museum, and do the Rocky thing. And we time him. And we say, okay, I challenge either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump to make it up here in 4 times my time. I made it up here in 1 minute. If you can make it up here in 5 minutes, that'll be impressive.
I mean, Hillary was having problems getting to.
She couldn't get out of the limousine.
Yeah, on flat land.
Didn't she wear a boot for like months and months?
No, she had that one thing where she was walking to the limousine and collapsed. I mean,
right. It was like
Yes.
after, and then they said it was the flu or something.
Yeah.
Really, it was COVID.
Didn't
She's the
Didn't she
vector.
wear a boot for a few months of that though? I
She
seem to
did.
recall-
She did. It was she was at like a funeral or something, right? Or was it a 9/11
Oh,
ceremony?
yeah.
Yeah, it was some big ceremony, but yeah, I mean, that was the thing, is that it would have been, if we could have made more of a deal of the physical thing about it, but Trump's just got this air about him that whatever it is, just somebody has to take it down. There has to be something that, like, the emperor has no clothes. It has to be a revelation like that, because otherwise, his cult of followers, they're like, oh no, it's the most beautiful clothes we've ever seen.
But what's going to be bad enough for them to be like, oh wait, because nothing yet has been bad enough. What is it going to actually take?
They have to re-release that tape when he was on Howard Stern. When Howard, actually, I mean, they don't care, but he was on Howard Stern at one point in time. Howard asked him, and Howard used to have Trump on all the time. I mean, Trump used to be on all the New York shows all the time. He's a good guest. And Howard's like, so, you're running for office. He's like, are you pro-life or are you pro-choice? Donald Trump's like, I'm a billionaire in New York City. I paid for thousands of abortions. Why isn't that enough to discredit him with the Republican Party?
Well, I saw on Drudge Report this week actually yesterday, there is stories that now they're putting out there. I think CNN put out that Trump gladly welcoming trans contestants into the Miss Universe pageant, which he owns, and congratulating like the Miss USA contender, saying that she would welcome a trans uh, contestant into the pageant. I think if his all these people who are the anti woke and hate all the trans things hear that, I don't even think that will drop them off of.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
learned better now. He's
Mhm.
made mistakes. That's what I've heard all week since the indictments come out. Oh, well, we've all made mistakes. No, I haven't. Not like
Right.
that. It's not like he's like, oops, I stuffed it in my pocket like a nurse takes a Band-Aid home. That's not how this happened, y'all. There were
Yeah.
boxes and boxes, which this man did not carry himself, which means how many people had access to that beyond him being like, hey, Kid Rock, look at here. I mean, Jesus, what does it take? How bad will it actually have to get? Like, I think he would actually have to like, I don't like piss on Jesus or something to make them be like, oh wait, there's a problem here. It would have to be something so bad
I
because
mean,
nothing's mattered yet.
as he said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of
Times Square, yeah.
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 Absolutely, and I mean, I don't know what is going to break the spell, other than him clutching his chest and just drop it out, like,
Oh,
that's about the only thing I think breaks the spell.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe something like if like at one point in time, like before the debate, all of a sudden they drop the curtain and he and Biden are making out backstage.
Yeah, or he's in
you
drag,
just you
reading to
just wrote an
children or
SNL
something like
skit.
Yeah.
Trump in drag reading to kids or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Well, they even released that one where Rudy Giuliani was in drag and he and Donald were, they even released that and it didn't matter. Like, I
Well, I
just
mean, that
really
had been
don't
out there.
know that anything's going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, that had been out there. That was a skit was it a Saturday Night Live skit, I think?
No, they were actually raising money for something in
Oh,
New
yeah,
York
yeah,
at
yeah,
the
it was a
time.
fundraiser, yeah, um,
Um,
but
which,
still,
we've had those. I mean, like my high school had those
yeah.
where the football players and the soccer players or whatever would dress in drag and sashay around the gym to get tips and stuff. And that was one of our fundraisers. And that's such a common thing. And then I have people that I went to high school that dressed in drag for these fundraisers that are now standing against the LGBTQ community for no other reason than the Republican Party said to.
Yeah.
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 So
I mean, if you consider the fact, right, the founding fathers wore wigs and makeup and
tights and garters.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a word for the name for those capris. They wore capris all the time. So you know,
It's true.
that's our heritage.
Heritage, not
Well,
hate.
Shakespearean plays. Who played the women? Men.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is not a new thing. This is not endangering anyone. This is not doing anything. But it is, however, a really good fear mongering tactic
Well,
for the Republican Party.
and the thing that pisses me off is they're like, oh, you know, pretending like that some way that makes children unsafe. When if you look at right the Catholic Church, Boy Scouts of America, right,
Mhm.
tons of sexual abuse of young boys.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, really, anything where kids gather, like little league sports, yaffle, hockey teams.
right.
School
Predators
board.
go to those places. Predators
Mhm.
aren't going to drag shows because there's not enough children there in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. We have this. When I was in middle school, there's this entire group of boys. Um, of course, I don't know any details or anything like this, but I do know that the coach of all these boys that I went to school with was put in prison for raping boys. There's an entire group of boys that I grew up with that are victims of their basketball coach. And now there's a theater teacher that's accused. This is all in the same town. And once again, this is accused of molesting little boys. Like this is where the danger actually is. The danger is not dressing fabulous with so many layers of clothes on. Guess what? Your kids are not going to be raped by a drag queen because it takes fucking forever to get ready. They're
Exactly.
not
Let's get
stripping, y'all. They're doing it for the performance.
Yeah.
They're just as proud of their outfit as they are their choreography. You know, they're singing and they're dancing and everything. It's ridiculous to me that this has become a thing. Now, I believe it has been stopped in Tennessee for now,
For now.
but that hasn't stopped the hate and the stupidity that this has drummed up. This has given power to these people. There's a gym in Nashville that has been a training ground for our own little Nazis. These are the same people that showed up in Chattanooga and Cookeville and Nashville at different events. I mean, even private events. Like you can't have your own private event because if these people hear about it, they're liable to show up. I mean, how ridiculous is this?
Yeah.
So no, the Republican Party, the convention in 2020. I watched that and I was like, that is the most anti-trans thing I have ever seen. And my Republican friends could not see it until I like this little bit right here, where they say it out loud with their whole chest. Do you hear it now? Like you have to direct them to it. I can't take everybody to the polls. Y'all are gonna have to pay attention on your own.
Yeah.
Yep, that's where I'm at, y'all.
Yeah.
It's sad. I mean,
It is.
the thing is too that it is, you know, it's all about divide and conquer. Anything they can do to split us up. I mean, trans issues are so irrelevant to 99% of the population anyway,
Yeah.
that it's ridiculous that we would get upset about it. I mean, if you want to, I mean, I will say, leave the sports things behind because it's the one place where there is an argument to be made. So let's just fucking concede sports right now and say we're not going to argue about sports. But everybody should have the right to live the way that they want to. Everybody should have a right to pursue the job that they want, to love the person that they want, to love the people that they want. I don't even want to say that, monogamy has to be a thing. Whatever the hell you want to do, who cares? But the fact is that if something's new, it freaks people out. And so you marshal all those people who are freaked out by the thing that's new to them. And
Or because it doesn't even affect them. Like so many people, and we can go even into the sports where, like that girl that won the swimming competition,
Leah Thomas.
Yeah. In the grand scheme of this thing, she's not going to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, there are girls who didn't get into the finals because of her.
There are people who didn't get into the finals because of her. It's an amateur sport, so it didn't cost them anything. It cost them a chance at the championship. It didn't cost them any money.
Yeah, she's also a scholarship swimmer, so it cost somebody else a chance to have their college tuition paid for.
Yeah, I mean,
it comes
there's
down
only like one or two athletes. There's not that
down,
many athletes involved.
But it's not. I mean, if we're going to talk the sports thing, I'll argue the sports thing because it is a big deal. Okay, that part about it, like I remember Title IX and fighting for it and how important it was at Texas. Because when I went to Texas, there was a big fight about the fact that even though Title IX had passed, men's sports were getting 90% of the money.
Yeah.
The statistic for women that play sports are overwhelmingly positive, right? Your chances of being sexually assaulted drop by like 90% if you play a team sport. Your upper level income, all that stuff. Sports is good for everybody, not just for women.
Mm-hmm.
Competition, in sports, we divide things based on categories. We don't just divide things based on gender. We also have an age group, right? Can't play in Little League if you're over 12 years old. They had that thing
I
with,
mean, talk to the Dominican Republican kid.
well, I was going to say, well, even the United States, right? That kid, Danny,
Denny Almonte, yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
played when he was 14. We know that's right. We know that there is a difference physically between people, and we have classes. We do it in boxing. We do it in UFC, right? We don't let lightweights compare, or at least lightweights, heavyweights can't compete in the lightweight division because heavyweights always beat lightweights. There's nothing you can do about it. You can make all the Bruce Lee arguments that you want, but if you watch the UFC back in the day, not counting about Hoist Gracie, but until they established weight divisions, the big guy always won.
Yeah.
And so we know that that's true. There's just no way around it. And, Serena Williams, great example, right? Serena Williams said, look, I'm never going to play a man professionally. I know that I can't compete in men's tennis. She's the greatest female player of all time. It is inequitable. And so if you take away from people the ability to compete, why are they going to pursue sports? And you're going to do that if people get to choose what category they want to compete in. There's always going to be somebody who's going to come down and compete at a level that they don't want. Compete at a level where they have a competitive advantage, because there's always somebody out there who's going to say, yeah, I want to win. And so I'm going to drop down into whatever division, whatever weight class I have to go to win. How do you prevent that from happening?
I mean, from a financial standpoint, there's not much to be gained. Like for a male athlete to drop down to a female sport, like look at what WNBA NBA players make. Like we haven't even gotten to the point where a
But
trans athlete would go into the WNBA.
Sports are important for people for more than just finances. I mean, I never made any money off of sports, but I played all through college and high school. It was a critical part of my life. And it was important for me to learn what I could do and what I couldn't do. I couldn't be the quarterback. I wasn't built for that.
I
But
mean, I don't think there's right now, until we could get let's say we get a large number of trans athletes that start coming out, then we could start forming divisions and things like that. Or when it's like onesie twosies right now, like in West Virginia, they had a law that was written for one person that was participating in high school sports, and she was like on a basketball team, I think, or no, I think she was track, and like writing a law for just one person or creating a division just for one person doesn't make sense.
well,
When
like
they're intermediate,
if you create an open division, men will compete in it. Okay, men who can't win their division will compete in the open division. So why do we think that that's wrong? Why do we think that it's wrong to have an open, non-gender, non-sex related division?
yeah. I mean, I think Hoodie's right here that let the governing bodies of the sports themselves decide it. Um,
That would be great. That's not what's happening, though.
no, I mean, in some space, in some states, are trying to make that. The government's trying to force that decision, whether it's from banning trans athletes and
Yeah,
that's the
we're
thing.
saying
You're banning the trans athlete. You're banning the trans athlete, and you specifically cite trans athletes. So you're removing them from any chance of competition.
Why do you say that? Why won't they be competitive in the open division?
If you're banning it, and let's say that like West Virginia, there's one person that's
they're
trans.
gonna
There's no
juggle.
competition.
That's what they're gonna do.
Well, and I mean, you can have an open division, but if you're the only trans athlete in your entire state, what's the competition?
I guarantee you, if you have an open division, men who can't win the men's division are going to want to win the open division, and they'll show up. So you're going to get to compete.
Yeah, I don't know.
What will happen is that those men who come down, drop down a division, will win. And that's what we're complaining. That's what people are complaining about. They're complaining about that there's not a division in which men, they want a division without men in it because men will win. Okay, that's just established over and over and over, right? There's no competition, that physical competition, that's not like that. Like for a very brief period of time, women held the records for endurance racing, like the 100-hour race and stuff like that. But mainly it was just because men weren't competing in it. Once men started competing in it, they now dominate that field as well. And so the answer is, right, an open division. Have a men's only division, a women's only division, and an open division that anybody who wants to can compete in it. But men will always win that division.
Yeah, I mean, sports was that was kind of the genesis of a lot of the anti-trans laws, and then to me,
And nobody gave an actual fuck about women's sports before this was a thing.
No, that's
This was not a
that is
mainstream.
bullshit.
This was not a mainstream.
No,
This was not a
Title IX,
mainstream thing that anybody talked about.
that is not
No
true.
one
Title
talked
IX
about
was
it until this
huge.
happened.
Title IX was huge before this. Now, I'm glad that you're in the generation that you didn't have to worry about it, but a lot of us had to fight so that women could have sports and get money for it in college. It was a big deal.
Most of the people that are complaining about this now never bothered showing up for a women's game before this.
Sure.
And they're not showing up for the women's games now.
But
they're showing up to the
but a lot of the peop-
legislators
a
and
lot of the-
arguing for something that they never, ever cared about before.
a lot of the
The
people who are
people that
complaining.
are arguing for this
Let's
are
talk
arguing
about
against
Riley Gaines.
2 or 3 trans kids or 2 or 3 trans athletes across the spectrum of athletes. So, okay, let's get all the trans athletes together, all 150 of them in the United States, because honestly, there's not that many. And it's weird because no one's talking about trans men. They're only discussing trans women.
Right.
Trans women.
Because trans men compete in men's category. If you want to compete in the men's category, that's fine. But let's talk about Riley Gaines, right? She's a woman, an athlete who has dedicated her life and now lost, right?
I don't know who that is because I don't give a shit
she's
about
the one who
sports.
lost to the.
She lost to Leah Thomas.
Leah Thomas.
I mean, she didn't lose to Leah Thomas. They both finished tied at 5th place because of the way, it's a round robin event with a lot of things. Yeah. But Riley Gaines is out there talking about the fact that, there are dedicated women athletes. And listen, women who have dedicated their athletes, pistol shooting, it wouldn't surprise me. There are going to be some things, although let's not talk chess. But there are women who have dedicated their life to sports, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with men dedicating their lives to sports. If that's your jam, that's your jam. The only question about it is, who are you going to compete against?
In another generation, with any goddamn luck at all, we're going to have kids that have started puberty blockers. And by the time they're adults, you're not going to be able to tell. So what happens then?
Speaking of not being able to tell,
are kids going to be inspected? Because I'm a grown woman and I just had my pelvic last week. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. So this week at the White House, there was a pride celebration at Joe Biden's White House. And it was notable because Rose Montoya, a trans activist, bared her breast on the lawn of the White House. Honestly, I've seen pictures of Rose Montoya fully clothed before. I did not know. Like, I couldn't tell that she was trans at all.
Well, I mean,
with the top off, I still couldn't tell.
Yeah,
people were so offended by that, and I'm like, for me, I would much rather see 2 breasts on the front lawn of the White House than the 2 boobs that have occupied the White House for the last 2 years, last 2 terms.
It's definitely true, and there are There are absolutely points in time where there are lots of people who you can't tell. And great, I don't want to know the difference between them. But here's the thing, right? An athlete who I don't know, I can't tell the difference, I don't care about. Leah Thomas competed for 3 years as a man at the collegiate level before then switching over and competing and winning as a woman. That
How much bone density did they lose between that time? How many treatments did they go through? Is
I,
any of this our business at all?
I'll tell you what, she didn't get any shorter. Her arm length didn't get any better, didn't get it change at all. And that makes a huge difference for swimmers.
Well,
Okay.
then maybe they should have rules about measuring every goddamn thing for swimmers. I'm sorry, this is the dumbest shit to care about. This is so dumb.
Well, here's the problem. If you put this aside and you say, you know what, we're not going to fight for this thing, everything else, absolutely, everybody should get equality. But you can't put this part, and you can't say that there's nothing there, because there is something there. There is something about the idea that people have a right to compete. I mean, I'm sorry, Ari, I don't agree with you on that. You're not going to tell me that Leah Thomas, who competed after changing 1 year, should be allowed to compete against women after she'd swum 3 years competitively in college as a man. It's just not fair.
You know what's weird about all trans people? They were something else before they were who they were.
And you know what? Live all your lives. Do
Except
every single
sports, because those are sacred. Gotcha.
well, yeah, don't take opportunities away from other people. Yeah. People
Okay.
people have a right to be competitive in a competition.
Except trans people.
No,
Gotcha.
they can compete in open. Why don't you want them to compete in open? In an open
Because there's
category?
not enough of them.
If it's open, men will compete too. They will be competing against men. Or why don't they compete in the men's category?
Because trans women are women, sweetie. That's the whole fucking point I'm trying to make. Like, I love your big brain. I really do. And y'all
Yep.
are adorable with sports. But this is stupid. Because, first of all, sports are like me. But also, like, their rights have to matter. Like, it has to matter more than the fucking trophy. I'm sorry, it does.
But
I
no,
can't possibly separate it, Dan. There's no way that I'm going to be able to ever think that it matters.
why do you think that it's right that we have age categories for Little League?
Another thing, I don't actually care.
So if you don't care, don't argue it and say, okay, we'll have an open
I
category
think
and everybody can compete in that. But so you do care. So that's the problem, is that, you're being very selective about it, because you're saying, I want this thing to be decided in the way that, you know, takes care of these people, but doesn't take care of everybody else. And that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to say, I mean, if we wanted to, we could have just an open category, right? Completely get
that's
rid
what
of
I
gender.
think.
If
I don't think that it should matter, period, at all. Like, honestly,
if you
geography is what should matter.
if we do that, if we have an open category, women will never win anything again. And I don't think
Women
that's
lose
right.
shit every day. We'll probably be all right.
Sure, absolutely. But I think there are a lot of women who like competition, who like physical competition in sports.
There are a lot of trans women that probably enjoy it too.
They are welcome to compete
Hmm.
in the open
I'm
category.
sorry, that's a lie. There's not actually a lot. There's not a lot at all.
I think there are more than you realize. I mean, there are like what, a dozen high-profile cases now, and more coming along.
Whole
I
fucking
mean,
dozen? What?
in a few years, we will see a lot more. I
Yeah.
just don't. I think that what is needed at this point is just a little bit of grace, a little bit of understanding that, you know, and I've seen stories that have bemoaned the fact that trans athletes are participated in women's sports, and like 90% of them they finish dead last or last. The Leah Thomas is probably the most high profile because she
There,
won something. So
there's the woman who just won the California track and field as well.
okay, still, I would just say there is a transition period where we are going to have to get used to the new normal, and eventually we're going to be able to sort things out, whether it's going to be a transgender category or an open category or whatever. But we're going to have to get to a critical mass where you can actually have people compete and have it being a justifiable competition at that point. I don't think we're going to be able to get to the point, you know, um, it may take years for us to be able to get to that point, but I think right now have a little grace. Um, I still don't think that they're taking away scholarship monetary opportunities. If we start seeing, trans women in the WNBA or trans women playing professional volleyball overseas or in professional soccer, then we can start having that conversation more. But yeah, she got Leah Thomas got a scholarship at a university, but there are, hundreds of universities and thousands of universities in the United States, hundreds that offer swimming scholarships. In the grand scheme of things, she may be denying somebody a scholarship at their preferred university, but there's scholarships out there for them to do what they need to do if they're dead set on competing for swimming.
I mean, if we acknowledge the fact that it's unfair, right? And I think we can acknowledge that part
We're
of it.
only acknowledging the fact that it's unfair if they win, and we're talking about a couple cases where they've won.
But let's acknowledge that then. Let's be straight up front about that and say that Leah Thomas's case is unfair. Let's not hide it behind the idea of, oh, it's only 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000. Let's acknowledge the fact that that is unfair.
Without all the facts, I don't know that it was.
I will grant, AJ, that you don't know this stuff, but Dave certainly is intimately familiar with it, as I am.
I mean,
She
yeah,
competed 3 years as a man on the Penn State team,
if she just went,
then took a year off, transitioned, and then competed as the women's team. As the man, she never won anything. As a woman, she won the NCAA championship.
that is probably more egregious than anything. And perhaps we can say, okay, they need to have a certain set standard that
That's all
a number of years.
That's all the people are asking about, is saying this is a legitimate conversation. Because the idea that we say it's not a legitimate conversation, that part is crazy. Because it is a legitimate conversation. Sports has categories. It always has. We have weight classes, we have age classes, we've had gender classes. Okay. And there's a reason why. People are not competitive. Yeah, it's exactly it. But,
Yeah, I mean,
Leah got her scholarship. You're right. I agree with that, Hody, that you shouldn't, the people who are giving the scholarships couldn't be smarter about that stuff in terms of saying, this is what we're doing. On the other hand, I don't think that, I mean, case in point, we can't even have a conversation about it here, right? And so the idea that you wouldn't give a scholarship to a trans athlete, I mean, that does start to get into a place where I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to give them the idea of saying that, yeah, you could ban somebody because of their preference in terms of giving them a scholarship. The question is, where do they compete?
scholarship can be cool money. I mean, the university hands out the scholarship.
Right.
The terminations that you would probably have to make on the scholarships is, does it count towards Title IX money? Does it count
Right.
against the male?
Huge part about it too.
Yeah, I would. That's a conversation I'd be willing to have. Where do you count the money? In the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. But as far as federal law goes, when it comes to Title IX, if you're giving a trans athlete money that was dedicated under Title IX, then we're getting into some of these weird gray areas. I mean, I'd still say that it's probably, I'd still keep it under Title IX money if they're, if they are transitioned. I'm not one of these people that one of these jerks that come out there and say that, oh well, if you open it up like this, that dudes are just going to go down and play women's sports and throw on a dress and compete and dominate. Um, I mean, just like if they if they remove the age limit, I'm not going to go down to my local little league and crush home runs all day.
You won't, but some asshole will.
Some asshole probably will, and people
I-
are going to say, "What a absolute jerk."
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I've played. Obviously, I played collegiate sports. I played collegiate lacrosse, but I also played in a very competitive flag football league, and you know what? We had some categories there too, because we had a seniors division, and we said nobody under the age of 40 is allowed to play in the seniors division. And you know what? We did catch a guy who was like 27 years old, and he was just
Why?
why?
See, I don't understand that. I mean, like,
You're right. You don't understand it, and that's the problem. So what do you do about it, though? Is it okay to make a rule that say nobody under the age of 40 is allowed to play in the seniors division? Because I think that's a reasonable rule.
yeah. I mean,
And you mean you're asking me why would somebody lie about their age to win? Because I think they have seniors categories in a lot of events. Like I think in the Boston Marathon, New York Marathon. Do you think somebody would lie so they could be the marathon champion about their age?
I remember the controversy of before they allowed women to do marathons, and she dressed up as a guy and finished the marathon.
There's that famous picture. It happened in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Boston is the first place where a woman completed the marathon, quote unquote, legitimately. She registered and did not reveal her gender and finished the marathon. It was great.
And people were like trying to pull her off the course too.
Yep. There's a famous picture of that. I mean, look, I remember when women in Oklahoma weren't allowed to play full court basketball. That's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the struggle for women's sports shouldn't be forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I just think that at some point we've got to right now we're in a transitional phase. That I hate to use the term transitional, but we're in a transitional phase where we just don't have enough opportunities for all the athletes under the binary system that we have.
Yeah.
And they're not going to looking at college athletics, and they're not going to put in an open category anytime soon, because the money is finite,
Right.
and most of it goes to football. So I mean, they're gonna put the money towards football, and they're not gonna do it like an open category for all these sports. So at this point, when we can get to a critical mass and we can create a trans division, I still even feel kind of
Don't call it
greasy about
trans.
some of the
Call it
trans
open.
division.
Call it
You know,
open.
an open division. I don't know.
I mean, in reality, the men's division is an open division, right? Women are not barred from competing in the men's.
Yeah, I mean, there was that girl in North Carolina actually won the state wrestling tournament.
Yep. You see plenty of women who play football, certainly at the high school level, kickers, whatever.
Couple colleges, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not the men's division really is the open division. It is the gender-free division.
Yeah, I don't know. We're definitely going to solve that tonight, and we are way over time this evening. But thanks everybody for joining us this evening. I hope everyone has a great night. I'll probably do another free for all next week, and then we'll be off the following week for my birthday. So 50 years. And then Dan, you're joining me for trivia in DC. If you're in the DC area,
we're going to win.
We are going to win. If you're in the DC area, come join us for trivia night at Across the Pond, I believe is the name of the bar, on the 28th of June in DC. So
there'll be a link posted on the Political Deep Dive Facebook page.
Something like that. Or if you're following me on Facebook, I've posted it a couple times. So, all right. Thanks everybody for joining us this week, and we will talk to everyone next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.